And I'm going to tell you another gaffe, shall I say, that I feel like Tom Thibodeau made. I thought he should have went small in this game. And I know Rudy Gobert is a guy that can rebound the ball. But I felt like one of the reasons that he and Hassan Whiteside together had 7 blocks is because you had Mitchell Robinson or Jericho Sims in the game. Just about all the time. When one of those two guys were in the game. And they can't extend themselves outside the dunker spot. They stay right in that dunker spot. So where do you think Rudy Gobert is? He's right there in the dunker spot. So if Mitchell Robinson's in the dunker spot and somebody goes to the lane, Rudy Gobert is leaving his guy to go try to affect that shot. As a matter of fact, they even switch. Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle drives in. Rudy Gobert comes in to affect the shot. And Rudy Gobert's his guy slides over closer to Mitchell Robinson or Jericho Sims, affecting the shot. Same thing with R.J. Barrett, anybody who drives the lane. Because those guys were in the dunker spot all the time. So Rudy Gobert had no choice but to be there too. But if you had Obi Toppin and Randle in the game, now all of a sudden, Rudy Gobert is forced to be out on the perimeter. Hassan Whiteside is forced to be out on the perimeter. And I know you give up some rim protection, but with the 2 dudes in the game, you still only got 2 blocks. So they wasn't protecting much. But if you go small, and the Knicks needed to score. They scored 93 points. Why? Because those guys were blocking everything. The Knicks couldn't shoot. If you spread that floor out, maybe you open up some lanes. If you go small, Rudy Gobert, Hassan Whiteside, they're guarding one of those two, either Julius Randle or Obi Toppin. Now those guys are out on the perimeter. Now all of a sudden, you have some lanes. And either one of those guys, Randle or Obi Toppin, are enough of a threat from the three-point line that it's going to force Rudy Gobert to stay out there. And you can if Rudy Gobert comes in to try to get the block, then you kick it to him. Now it's on them to make it. But I think it changes the game a little bit. You know what I mean? And maybe you don't do it every time you play the Utah Jazz. If you're having an effective night scoring inside against Rudy Gobert, then you're good. But if not, then you try it. You try it. He didn't go small. He decided to go small the last 3 minutes of the game. He brought Immanuel Quickley back in the game for Mitchell Robinson. And at that point, it was a done deal. I felt like should have went small, try to spread the floor out, try to get Rudy Gobert out the paint. You could have tried it for 5 minutes. 3 minutes. You could have tried it for 3 minutes. See if it worked. If it didn't work, then you go back and do whatever you felt like you needed to do. But all season long, Tom Thibodeau never felt comfortable committing to that small ball lineup. You know what I'm saying? He never felt comfortable committing to that small ball lineup. I thought, we talked about it earlier in the season. Me, Steph, Tony, whoever. We talked about it earlier in the season that the small ball lineup should be a staple of the offense, not just when we need it. It should be something that the Knicks do. Something that the Knicks do, that small ball lineup. Right? And I don't know any of the numbers behind it, to say, every per 100 minutes, the small ball lineup is this, that, and the third. I don't know that. What I do know is that it brings a change of pace. And it makes the opposing team have to think. Makes them have to do something else. If it ain't working, you cannot do it. But it should be a staple. Let's go small. Let's force this team to go small if we have to. Or let's see if we can open up the lanes, get to the basket a little bit more. See if we can add a little bit more speed out here against certain teams. I don't know. But Tom Thibodeau never, ever committed to it. Did it every once in a while. He's so afraid that the Knicks aren't going to be able to protect the rim on the other side of the floor. And you know why? You know why? Part of the reason why he's so afraid the Knicks aren't going to be able to protect the rim is because he doesn't have a variation of defenses. And I keep going back to it, and I'll continue to go back to it. He doesn't have a variation of defenses. Because if you're afraid that the Knicks can't protect the rim because you don't have Mitch in or you don't have Jericho Sims in. Jericho Sims not really a rim protector anyway. All right, so if you're afraid that you're not going to be able to do those things, you know what else you can do? You can do some full court pressure. You got the small ball lineup in, supposed to be a faster lineup. Maybe it's more aggressive. Do a little bit of full court pressure for a couple of minutes while they're in the game. Play a little bit of zone. Do a little bit of trapping. Right? You do those things, you can negate not having the rim protection and sometimes the rebounding because you may cause turnovers. You may cause bad shots. Right? So now you can negate some of those things, even if it's for just a short period. Doesn't have to be 8 minutes. Just a short period. But you figure out a different way to defend when you have that small ball lineup if you're worried about rim protection. Because, I mean, come on, look at your numbers. Teams are shooting 45% of their shots or something like that are threes. You dig what I'm saying? They're shooting threes. And with teams shooting that many threes, you don't need as much rim protection. And you always, the Utah Jazz, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, talk about rim protection. The Utah Jazz took 74 shots. 46 of those shots were three-point attempts. They took 74 shots. And 46 of them were three-point attempts. That means 28 of those shots were in the two-point range. And guess what? I guarantee you 28 of those shots did not come at the rim. Those 28 two-pointers, all 28 of them did not come at the rim. I can guarantee that. Some of them did. Let's say half of them did. That's 14 shots at the rim. The majority of the Utah Jazz shots came from the three-point line. So you don't need as much rim protection. As a matter of fact, you need people who can be a little bit more nimble on the perimeter, right? Guys are shooting that many threes. And maybe it takes Gobert out the game and it changes a little bit. Now maybe you have the ability to get to the rim a little bit better on the offensive side if Rudy Gobert is out the game and Hassan Whiteside is out the game because they're matching up while you're going small. Two big mistakes, ladies and gentlemen, that I think Tom Thibodeau made tonight. Obviously, the substitution pattern in the fourth quarter when he took out Immanuel Quickley and Obi Toppin and brought in Julius Randle and Evan Fournier and not going small. Felt like he should have went small. Be peaceful. I'm out of here. One.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.